and welcome to another lesson from Soflex Math. Today we're working on least common multiple, which also could be called LCM, least common multiple, or sometimes they call it LCD, least common denominator, when we're dealing with fractions. So we're going to go ahead and continue our fraction overview and do some of this back work to see if we are prepared to actually do the adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing of fractions. So we're going to go ahead and work through finding the multiples of 3 and 5. So you always have to find the least common multiple. You need at least two numbers. It could be 3, it could be more, but you need at least 2 because we're going to compare. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start off by listing the first 5 multiples of 3 and the first 5 multiples of 5. Usually this will be good enough. Sometimes you have to actually do more if you don't find one that matches. And we'll kind of show you what that means as we work through this. So let's go ahead and look at the 3 and 5 here. So we're just going to list 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. So there's our first 5 multiples. Like I said, we may have to keep going if we don't find any matches, but we'll just do 5 as it's a good starting point. We can always adjust from there. Okay, and then we're going to count by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25. Same way, we may have to keep going. So what we found so far, we found all the, not all, but some of the multiples. Now our next step is to see if do we have any that match. So are any of them in common the same? So as we look through our list here, I see a 15 and I see a 15. So we found what are in common. Okay, and then in this, instead of greatest common factor, we're going to try to find the least or the lowest one. Since we only have one match and it's the first match we came to, this is going to be actually our answer. So the least common multiple of 3 and 5 is 15 because it's the first one that we came to that was in both columns. So this is how we find our least common multiple. So because there was no 3s or 6s or 9s or 5s or 10s that were the same, the first one that was in common was 15. So that's going to be our answer. So let's take a look at a couple more examples just to try to get the hang of this. All right, our next problem has the numbers 6 and 8. Now, some people are taught a trick to try to multiply the 6 times the 8 together as a shortcut, and then you'd think that your least common multiple is 48. But that trick does not always work, and we're going to show you how that doesn't work with this example. So, same way, we're just going to list the first 5 and see if that's good enough. So we'll do 6, 12, 18, 24, and 30. And then we'll do the same thing for the 8s. 8, 16, 24, 32, and 40. So as you're noticing with our examples here, usually when you do the first 5, you're going to find something that matches. All right, so there's our multiples, the first 5 of the number 6 and the first 5 of the number 8. Now we're going to go see if we have any matches. All right, I see 24, and that's all I have so far, but that's okay. Because remember, we're finding the least. So the first one that we come to that's a match. So we don't have to keep going. There's going to be other matches. Remember, when I told you that shortcut 6 times 8 is 48, that's going to be a match way down here. But we've already found one that's less. And that's the whole goal of finding the least common multiple, or later on, the least common denominator. So in this case, our answer of what is the least common multiple of 6 and 8, it is the number 24. All right, so let's try one last example. All right, so this time, like I said earlier, there is a chance that you might have to find 3, because sometimes when we're adding fractions, sometimes they're going to want you to add 3 together, and all 3 have a different denominator. So we need to come up with the same one in order to be able to add or subtract fractions. So that's kind of why we're doing this least common multiple back work. So this time what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to actually list all 3 of the numbers, the 4, the 5, and the 10. And I'm going to list the first 5 just as kind of my starting rule. So 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20. Okay, I'll do the same thing with 5s. So 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25. And then finally the 10s. So we're just going to count by 10s. 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. Now, so this time when we have three numbers, we have to find the least common multiple of all three, which means I need to have the same match in all three columns. So for example, here we have a 10 and a 10, so that seems pretty good, but we don't have a 10 up here, so we can't use that. So we have to go through and we have to see, do we have a number that's the same in all three columns? So to me, I look like I found a 20, and a 20. So that means that was our first match in all three numbers, all three columns. And that's what we're going to want to use as our least common multiple. So the least common multiple of 4, 5, and 10, all three of those numbers, is the number 20. So as you go through this, be thinking about common denominators as well, because that's what this is going to lead into. So what we mean by that is that if we were going to add, for example, 1/4 plus 1/5 plus 1/10, we're going to have to get all of these to have the denominator, the bottom number of 20. That's why we're solving it. So that's just kind of a sneak preview to some of our next units and lessons. So once again, ask any questions in the comments. I'm happy to answer those at any time. And thanks for watching Soflex Math.